There is a deep misunderstanding about what a man truly wants most. If you do not correct this, you will always play a side role in your own love story. We need to talk about power, not the kind used to win arguments or meetings, but the raw, magnetic, deeply feminine kind that comes from your own inner confidence. For far too long, the story of intimacy has been told to us the wrong way around. We have been trained to focus on technique, on pleasing, and on being the person who reacts instead of the one who leads. We are told that great moments are about noise, speed, and finishing a checklist. While those things can create a nice memory, they never create the kind of unforgettable, soul-shaking experience that makes a man wake up thinking only about you for days. Here is the truth that changes everything. You are not just there to give. You are there to lead, to direct, and to command the entire energy of the moment. It is about being so present and so aware of your own desire that your energy becomes the most powerful attraction in the room. This is not only about pleasure. It is about holding the reins of the whole experience and understanding the psychology of his desire better than he does himself. It is knowing that his body, his thoughts, and his wants are yours to guide, not just something you react to. I once believed that true connection came only from the physical. I spent years trying to do what I thought men wanted, assuming that the louder the reaction, the better I was. But what I learned later changed everything. The physical is only the surface. The real depth lies in emotional tension, mental chemistry, and small shifts in power. It was only when I stopped trying to please and started owning my space that everything changed. It is the difference between being good and being unforgettable. That small inner shift and that new posture of confidence is what we are unlocking today. This is not about tricks or quick advice. It is about an emotional transformation that turns a simple moment into something that lingers in the body and mind. We are going to uncover 5 deep shifts that create this magnetic pull, starting from the very first touch and the very first look. When you approach intimacy from a place of full self-possession, you lift the entire experience, not just for him, but also for yourself. The first and most surprising key is mastering the art of deliberate slowness. This means being slow in your movements and slow in your thoughts. Most women rush, not because they want to, but because they are nervous. They want it to be over quickly, or they are chasing approval through his reactions. That pressure to perform creates an anxious energy that kills real sensuality. True, lasting tension does not come from speed, it comes from patience and anticipation. When you slow down with complete confidence and move like time belongs to you, you send a primal signal to his mind that you are in control. You move when you want, not when he expects it. This is not about delay. It is about authority. You are setting a rhythm that pulls him out of his head and into his senses. You make him a receiver instead of just a watcher. Think of it like music where you cannot rush the build-up. Each slow, intentional note adds pressure until the release feels overwhelming. Let us start with the foundation of this, using slowness as your greatest tool by focusing on everything except the main goal. This early exploration turns a simple act into a full-body takeover that feels calm, commanding, and completely consuming. This approach is what separates an ordinary moment from a transformative one. There is one subtle, almost invisible move you can use in this first phase. It is a single action that blends breath and closeness to create an instant, irresistible connection. It makes him drop all mental control long before the real touch even begins. That quiet but powerful move hits deeper than any touch. Your true power is in your patience, not your performance. You are not rushing to meet his desire. You are shaping it and drawing it out until he is completely caught in your energy. That invisible move is your breath and your closeness. Think of your breath as a tool. When you lean in without touching yet and let your soft, warm exhale brush gently against his skin, you bypass his logical mind completely. It is an invasion of his personal space that carries total confidence. It makes him hyper-aware of your calm control. It is a whisper that says you are steady and ready to lead. That soft breath is like the first stroke of paint, claiming the space and declaring that the moment now belongs to you. This brings us to the first big shift, which involves the perimeter. Most women rush straight to the center like it is a sprint. Instead, you should change the rhythm with a conscious pause and a slow, teasing build of tension. This strategy is the cure for rushing. It is the art of exploring everything around the edges before getting to the main focus. When it comes to desire, the mind is often stronger than the body. The easiest way to awaken it is through the unexpected. Treat his body like a map where you are the curious, confident explorer. Start on the edges, like the thighs, hips, stomach, and the base of the spine. These areas are full of sensitivity, but are often ignored. When you give them attention with light kisses or the soft brush of your hair, you are building emotional electricity. You are silently telling him that you desire all of him and that waiting is part of the pleasure. This is your first real rhythm shift, slow exploration and deepening tension. The pacing feels endless for him, but intentional for you. Hold a kiss on his skin for 3 full seconds, which is long enough for him to lose his sense of time, and for you to show that you own every second. Then pull back just an inch and shift to another unexpected spot. Let your fingers trace slow patterns across his hips to keep his mind guessing. His thoughts will start to race as he tries to predict your next move. You must remain calm and deliberate. This is the perfect moment to bring in your personal energy. I once believed men wanted the shortest route to pleasure, but I have learned they truly crave being seen and being the focus of your full desire. When you take your time exploring the edges, you satisfy a deeper need they rarely express aloud. You are showing that this is an experience, not just a moment of release. As the tension grows, you will notice his breathing change and his muscles tighten. This is where you introduce the second shift, the playful retreat. Lift your head slightly and lock eyes with him. That single look is a powerful second of connection and an emotional high point. It confirms your control. Before the tension breaks, add a tactile cue with your hands to re-establish your lead before returning to the edges for more teasing. You are not just reacting to his energy, you are shaping it. This constant dance of advance and retreat builds an irresistible craving. When you finally focus completely, he is not just aroused, he is lost in you. The shift from teasing his mind to commanding his body is the second major rhythm. Now that you have established dominance, we move into the rhythmic command. This is the artful partnership between your hands and your mouth. This is where many lose their rhythm by treating their hands as accessories. Your hands are the foundation. His brain can only process one stream of sensation clearly at a time, so your goal is to create 2 synchronized yet contrasting flows of pleasure. When your hands and mouth move in deliberate contrast, the experience becomes hypnotic. Your hands are the rhythm section, setting the steady pressure and pace, while your mouth creates the melody with a different speed and texture. This contrast breaks his mental focus and creates a controlled overload. It leaves him helpless and surrendered to the rhythm you command. You are playing his entire nervous system like an instrument. This is where you create the third major shift, the contrast of speed and texture. You move from slow teasing to bursts of intensity and then back again. That sudden change against your calm control is what burns the memory into him. Many women worry about being perfect, but unforgettable moments come from confidence. It is about being bold enough to lead. This brings us to the feedback loop. As you create these shifts, observe his small reactions, like the tightening of his jaw or the way he grips the sheets. When you catch these signals, stay with them. It tells him that you see what he feels and can take him deeper. This transforms the act into a true dialogue where your touch speaks louder than words. He will remember the sense of being completely understood and guided. Once you have mastered the physical rhythm, it is time to step into energy. The fastest way to transfer energy is through your eyes. This is the third major shift, the confident gaze. Most women instinctively look away because of shyness or old habits, but looking away gives your power away. When you meet his eyes with a steady and sure look, you signal that you are in charge. That gaze dominates and turns the moment into a shared mental connection. He begins to see you as the powerful woman guiding him into surrender. This is a deliberate break in the rhythm that forces him to truly see you. Do it right in the middle of an intense movement. Don't look for approval. Instead, let a small, confident smile show that you are enjoying your control. This exchange fuses the pleasure he feels with your image, creating a loop in his mind that links desire to you. This leads to the mental pause or emotional resonance. You physically stop for a second while holding eye contact, letting the realization sink in that you are in charge. Men often say that fearless eye contact is what stays with them the longest. A well-timed pause is far more powerful than non-stop action. We have covered the perimeter, the command, and the gaze. Now for the element that locks the memory into his emotional core: words. Spoken at the right moment, words bypass logic and go straight to emotion. This is the verbal anchor. Use your voice when he is completely lost in the sensation. Lean in and whisper that you love watching him lose control. This is a statement of ownership and appreciation. It validates his intensity and reminds him that you are the reason for it. It transforms the experience into a story about power. Your tone and nearness will stay in his head long after the moment has passed, replaying like a loop. The fifth and final secret is about how you are, rather than what you do. It is the power of receiving. You cannot be a confident leader if you are not fully present. True connection is a shared flow of energy. When you allow yourself to feel the impact of what you are creating and enjoy your own power, that energy becomes contagious. He sees your pleasure in your own confidence. If you make the moment only about him, you come from a place of need. But when you center yourself in your own delight, you radiate a magnetism that no technique can match. This turns attraction into devotion. We have walked through the 4 major moves: the tease, the command, the gaze, and the anchor. Each one builds on the last to shape how he perceives you. Real intimacy is about embodying your most fearless self. You are not just arousing him, you are claiming him and showing him a woman who knows her power. You now have the keys to create moments that turn attraction into a lasting obsession. He will remember your presence and your command. When you meet his eyes, what story of power will you tell? If this spoke to you, take action to claim your power. Join this community of women who lead with grace. Stay radiant, stay fearless, and remain the architect of your own desire. Building on the foundation of leading with energy and command, we must look at how to maintain this magnetic pull long after the physical moment ends. The true secret to lasting obsession isn't just what happens in the room, but how you manage the space between your encounters. This is the stage of psychological lingering. Most women make the mistake of becoming too available or too eager for validation once the intimacy is over. They shift from the powerful leader back into a role of seeking approval. To keep your impact strong, you must remain the architect of the connection. This means staying centered in your own life and your own mystery. When you leave him with a sense of calm mystery rather than a rush of emotional need, you force his mind to fill in the blanks. He begins to replay the moments of your command, your gaze, and your whispers, because you haven't replaced those powerful memories with mundane, anxious energy. You want him to wonder about your thoughts just as much as he wonders about your next touch. The next shift in this journey is mastering the art of the subtle withdrawal. This isn't about playing games or being cold. It is about protecting the high-value energy you have created. After an intense experience where you led him into surrender, your absence becomes just as powerful as your presence. By stepping back into your own world with confidence, you allow the tension to rebuild naturally. This creates a cycle of craving. He realizes that your attention is a reward, not a given. It reinforces the idea that you are a woman of deep self-possession who moves at her own pace. This psychological gap is where attraction matures into a deep, focused devotion. You are teaching him that while you can lead him to incredible heights, you are also perfectly complete on your own. That independence is the ultimate aphrodisiac because it suggests that every moment he spends with you is a privilege you have chosen to give. Finally, you must learn to anchor your power in everyday communication. This involves using the same deliberate slowness and confidence in your texts, your voice calls, and your casual glances. If you are a queen in the bedroom but a servant in conversation, the spell is broken. Keep your words intentional and your responses thoughtful. Don't rush to fill every silence. Let him be the one to reach toward you, drawn by the memory of the woman who held his gaze and commanded his senses. When you align your daily identity with the powerful version of yourself you discovered through these techniques, you become more than just a memory. You become a permanent fixture in his mind, a woman who is truly unforgettable because she knows her worth and never settles for a side role in her own story. This is how you build a connection that isn't just about a moment, but about a lifetime of mutual respect and intense, magnetic desire. Building on the psychological lingering and the space between your encounters, the next phase focuses on the power of your presence in his absence. This is where your influence moves from his memory into his imagination. To truly anchor your role as the lead in your own story, you must master the art of the mental imprint. This is done through the selective use of sensory triggers. When you are together, you have established your command through touch, gaze, and breath. To keep this alive when you are apart, you must leave behind a trail of subtle reminders that pull him back to your energy without you having to say a word. It could be the lingering scent of your perfume on his skin, a specific song that played during a moment of high tension, or a brief, confident message that references a private joke or a look you shared. These are not pleas for attention, they are markers of your territory. They act as psychological anchors that trigger a physical response in him, making his body crave the rhythm you established. The next deep shift is the mastery of emotional unpredictability. This does not mean being inconsistent or difficult, but rather being layered. A woman who is entirely predictable becomes a known landscape, and a known landscape is rarely explored with passion. To keep the fire of obsession burning, you must reveal yourself in stages. Just when he thinks he has understood the depth of your confidence, show him a new side of your ambition or a different shade of your humor. This keeps him in a state of constant discovery. It reinforces the idea that you are a vast, interesting world that he is lucky to navigate. When you combine this with the physical command you have already practiced, You create a dual pull. He is drawn to the mystery of your mind just as much as he is drawn to the power of your touch. You are no longer just a partner. You are a fascinating challenge that requires his full focus and respect. Finally, we must talk about the transition from obsession to long-term devotion through the concept of the safe harbor. While your power and command create the initial magnetic pull, your ability to witness his true self is what secures the bond. When a man has surrendered to your lead, he has shown you a level of vulnerability he likely hides from the rest of the world. Your strength allows him to feel safe in that surrender. By acknowledging his depth with a calm, non-judgmental presence, you become the only person who truly knows him. This creates a unique emotional monopoly. He will find that no other connection feels as intense or as real because no one else has the confidence to lead him where you have. You aren't just a part of his life, you become the lens through which he views his own desires. This is the ultimate goal of the magnetic woman, to lead with such grace and power that you become the standard by which all other experiences are measured. To move forward from building devotion and curiosity, we must now focus on the concept of the high-value invitation. This is the stage where your power stops being about what you do to him and starts being about what you inspire in him. A man who is truly under your influence doesn't just want to be near you. He wants to rise to your level. This shift happens when you set the tone for the entire relationship by holding yourself to a standard of effortless excellence. You are not begging for his time or energy. Instead, you are living a life so full and confident that being invited into your world feels like a major win for him. This keeps the chase alive indefinitely. When he sees that you are the director of your own happiness, he realizes that his role is to contribute to your joy, not to be the sole source of it. This removes the pressure and replaces it with a deep, driving motivation to earn his place by your side every single day. The next part of this mastery involves the art of the silent reward. Most people use words to praise or criticize, but a powerful woman uses her energy. When he meets your standards, when he shows up with respect, or when he responds to your leadership, you reward him with the full, warm light of your presence. You give him that deep, magnetic eye contact we talked about earlier. You offer him the physical closeness that feels like a sanctuary. However, if he steps out of line or becomes complacent, you don't need to argue. You simply withdraw that high-level energy. You become polite but slightly distant, returning to your own center. This cool down is often more effective than any lecture. It signals that your intimacy and your deepest self are treasures that require a certain level of behavior to access. It teaches him through experience that your presence is a premium experience that he must protect and cherish. Finally, we reach the level of the spiritual bond where your confidence becomes his strength. In this final shift, your role as the leader of the energy allows him to drop the mask he wears for the world. Most men are exhausted by the need to always be the provider, the protector, or the one in charge. When you step into your power and take the lead in your intimate and emotional life, you give him the rare gift of true rest. This doesn't make him weak, it makes him loyal. He will realize that you are the only person in his life who actually understands the balance of power and surrender. By owning your desire and being the architect of your shared moments, you create a bond that is unbreakable because it is built on a foundation of total truth. You are no longer playing a role. You are living as the most authentic, powerful version of yourself, and in doing so, you have created a love story that is entirely your own. After establishing a bond built on truth and rest, we arrive at the stage of eternal renewal. This is the secret to keeping the fire alive over years rather than just months. To keep his obsession permanent, you must avoid the trap of becoming a habit. Habit is the enemy of desire. Even in a long-term commitment, you must keep a part of yourself that remains unreachable. This is your inner sanctum. It is the part of your soul, your hobbies, or your thoughts that belongs only to you. When a man realizes there are still rooms in your mind he hasn't walked through, he stays curious. He never feels he has fully conquered you, and therefore he never stops trying to win you over. You remain a mystery to be solved, a book with chapters he hasn't read yet. The next shift is the transition from leading the moment to leading the legacy of your relationship. This is about how you handle the low points or the daily grind. A woman of power does not let the mundane chores of life dim her magnetic light. You lead by refusing to descend into the energy of a nag or a critic. Instead, you maintain your posture of confidence even when discussing bills or schedules. You use that same calm, steady voice and that same direct eye contact. By refusing to let the world turn you into a reactive person, you keep the atmosphere of your home charged with the same tension and respect you created in the beginning. You show him that no matter what happens outside, the woman he surrendered to is still right there, steady and in command. Finally, we look at the ultimate reflection of your power, his growth. A man who is led by a woman of high self-possession will naturally want to become a better version of himself. Your confidence acts as a mirror. When you hold yourself to a high standard and treat your own desire as something sacred, he begins to see himself through your eyes. He wants to be the man who is worthy of a woman who commands the room with just a look. This is how you transform a simple attraction into a life-altering partnership. You are not just his lover or his partner. You are his muse and his North Star. You have built a world where your desire is the compass, and he is the willing traveler. By staying fearless and radiant, you ensure that your love story never has an ending, only a series of beautiful, powerful new beginnings.